All right, so today we're diving deep into the story of Cristiano Ronaldo.
One of the all-time greats.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we're going to be drawing on an episode of Daily Mindset Boost
Okay.
to really kind of like map out his career and see like what were the essential ingredients,
Yeah.
what were the core drivers that took him from, pretty humble beginnings to, a global superstar.
All right. Yeah, from like a kid in Madeira to, arguably the most famous athlete on the planet.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's not just about, listing off all of his goals and trophies and championships, which are, obviously a huge part of it, but there's a deeper story there.
Yeah.
About like, the underlying principles and the mindset that really propelled him to this level. And I think that's what we really want to try to extract here. Like, what are the actionable insights from his journey
Yeah.
that, our listener can maybe apply in their own lives and their own pursuits?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So, I mean, let's start at the beginning. Cristiano Ronaldo dos Santos Aveiro, born February 5th, 1985, Funchal, Madeira, Portugal.
Wow, what a name.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you kind of hear the destiny in there already a little bit, right?
Right. It's like, it's almost like a superhero origin story,
It is. Yeah.
And his early life wasn't, marked by, affluence or anything like that. His dad was a kit man at a local football club. His mom was a cook. He grew up sharing a bedroom.
So really, like, from very, very humble beginnings.
Yeah, very kind of down-to-earth start.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's often overlooked, right? Like, when we see these superstars, we forget that, they often come from very normal or even disadvantaged backgrounds.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really powerful reminder that success isn't predetermined by your starting point.
Right.
It's about what you do with the opportunities that you have.
And what's particularly interesting about this, is that even from a young age, Ronaldo was obsessed with football. I mean, like, completely and utterly.
Yeah, I mean, the source material really emphasizes that, like, from a very, very young age, he was just consumed by this passion for the game.
Yeah.
Like, kicking a ball around wherever he could find space,
Yeah, absolutely. And that passion, I mean, it's almost like it was a driving force.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like, ooh, this is a fun thing to do,
Right. It was like this burning desire, this need to play.
Yeah.
And I think that level of passion is so crucial. I mean, obviously not everyone's going to be, a global football superstar.
Yeah.
But that idea of like finding something that you're truly passionate about, that you're willing to put in the time and the effort and the dedication to really excel at.
Yeah.
That's, I think, a really powerful takeaway.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So he's, kicking a ball around as a little kid. He joins this local amateur team called the Andorinha. Yeah. And that's like the initial spark,
The first step on the long road to glory.
Yeah, exactly. And then at just 10 years old, he moves to another club in Madeira before making this, pretty big step to Sporting CP's academy in Lisbon at 12.
Yeah, that's a huge move for a 12-year-old, right?
Yeah.
Like leaving home, moving to a new city,
Yeah.
joining this prestigious academy.
Yeah, and it really speaks to, I think, his dedication and his family's dedication, like they were willing to
Right, yeah.
make sacrifices.
Like to support his dream.
Yeah, and it shows that like they recognized his talent at that early age.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to point out that, Sporting CP's academy is one of the best in the world. So the fact that he was able to get in there
Yeah.
at that age really speaks to his potential.
Yeah, but it's not all smooth sailing, right?
Right. No, I mean, this is where things get really interesting.
Yeah, because he gets diagnosed with tachycardia,
Tachycardia, yeah.
which is a rapid heartbeat.
So essentially his heart was beating too fast.
Yeah, and you can imagine, like, at that age, you're on this trajectory, you're doing so well, and then suddenly your whole future is kind of like thrown into doubt.
It's like hitting a massive roadblock, and not knowing if you're going to be able to continue doing the thing that you love.
And I mean, it gets serious because he actually has to have surgery to correct it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a major procedure.
Yeah.
Especially for someone so young.
Yeah, and the source material really highlights this moment as like a defining moment in his career.
Yeah, because, I mean, just imagine being told at that age that you might never play football again.
Right.
But Ronaldo, he just refused to give up.
Yeah.
Like that resilience that he showed in bouncing back from that setback.
Yeah.
It really defined his entire career.
Yeah, he had that kind of like, refusal to accept defeat, and
It's like he was forged in that fire.
Right. It's almost like it was a test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, and he passed with flying colors.
Yeah. So he recovers from the surgery and he just keeps getting better and better. And then, fast forward a couple of years to when he's 16.
16.
And this is where like a really pivotal moment occurs.
Okay.
So he's playing in this friendly match.
A friendly match.
And his skills are so good that they catch the eye of Sir Alex Ferguson.
Oh, wow.
Who was like the legendary manager of Manchester United at the time.
I mean, one of the greatest managers of all time.
Yeah.
In any sport.
Yeah, for sure. And this one performance is enough to convince Ferguson.
It's just one game?
Yeah, that Ronaldo has, the potential to be something truly special.
That's incredible. I mean, talk about making an impression.
Right. And I mean, how many times does that happen?
Not very often. Especially at that level.
Right.
To have one game where you just, blow everyone away.
Yeah. Yeah, and it leads to, a pretty historic moment in 2003. Ronaldo signs for Manchester United for £12.24 million.
Okay.
Now, that might not sound like a lot, in today's transfer market.
Right, yeah, with the hundreds of millions of euros flying around.
Yeah, but at the time, that was a record fee for a teenager.
Wow.
So it just shows you, like, the faith that Ferguson had in his abilities.
It was a huge gamble, but clearly it paid off.
Yeah, absolutely. And his time at Manchester United from 2003 to 2009 is really where he blossoms.
Right.
He wins 3 Premier League titles.
Okay.
A Champions League trophy.
Wow.
And his first Ballon d'Or in 2008.
So at this point, he's already achieved, incredible success.
Yeah. I mean, he's already being recognized as, like, the best player in the world.
Right.
And what's really interesting about this period is his transformation as a player.
How so?
So he arrives at Manchester United as this really skillful winger, known for his dribbling and his, like, fancy footwork. But under Ferguson's guidance, he develops into this, like, relentless goal-scoring machine.
So he added, like, a clinical edge to his game?
Yeah, exactly. He becomes much more focused on, like, the end product.
And that's what really separates the good players from the great players.
Yeah.
It's not just about having the skills and the flair.
Yeah.
It's about being able to consistently deliver results.
Yeah, and it's during this time that he really develops that famous free kick technique.
Yeah, I mean those bending free kicks are just iconic.
Yeah, and it wasn't just like, oh, he's naturally gifted at free kicks. It took hours and hours of dedicated practice, like countless hours on the training ground perfecting that technique.
It's that commitment to hard work that really sets him apart.
Yeah, and the source also mentions, Ferguson's influence on really instilling that work ethic in him.
Yeah, Ferguson was known for being a very demanding manager,
right?
But he also knew how to get the best out of his players.
Yeah, and there's this great quote from Ferguson himself where he says, "Ronaldo was the most gifted player I've ever coached."
Wow.
And coming from Ferguson, I mean, that's high praise.
Right. Like that's saying something.
Because he's worked with some of the best players in history.
Yeah, some of the all-time greats.
Yeah, and so, you see this pattern emerging, right? Like raw, undeniable talent, nurtured by this experienced mentor.
Right.
And then amplified by this, like, obsessive commitment to self-improvement.
It's like a perfect recipe for success.
Yeah, and it's not just luck, right? It's very deliberate and focused.
Exactly. It's about taking that raw talent and then shaping it and honing it.
Yeah.
Through sheer hard work and dedication.
Yeah, absolutely. So then we come to 2009, and this is another major turning point in his career.
Okay.
He makes this world record £80 million transfer to Real Madrid.
£80 million.
Yeah, so he's stepping onto an even larger global stage with even greater expectations.
The pressure must have been immense.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, he was already a superstar, but this is like going to another level.
Right, like the Galacticos era at Real Madrid.
Exactly.
It's like the biggest stage in world football.
Yeah, and he doesn't just meet those expectations, he surpasses them.
How so?
So his 9 seasons at Real Madrid from 2009 to 2018 are just absolutely record-shattering.
Yeah, I mean, he basically rewrote the record books.
Yeah, he becomes Real Madrid's all-time leading scorer with over 450 goals.
Over 450 goals, that's just insane.
Yeah, I mean, that's an average of like over 50 goals a season for 9 seasons.
It's a level of consistency that's just unheard of.
Yeah, and on top of that...
Yeah,
4 Champions League titles,
Yeah.
including 3 in a row,
Wow.
which is unprecedented.
Right, like no one's ever done that before.
Yeah, and during this time, he picks up another 4 Ballon d'Ors.
So he's up to 5 now.
Yeah.
I mean, he's cemented his legacy as one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, you really can't argue with the numbers.
Like he's just operating at a level that we've never seen before.
Yeah, and what's really remarkable is that he's doing it in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Which is, the most prestigious club competition in the world.
Yeah, he becomes the first player to score over 100 goals in the competition.
100 goals in the Champions League, that's just mind-blowing.
Yeah, and it's this era where we really see the rivalry with Lionel Messi.
Messi, yeah. I mean, you can't talk about Ronaldo without talking about Messi.
Right.
They're like the two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, and it's this head-to-head competition with arguably the other greatest player of their generation.
Right.
That really pushes both of them to even greater heights.
It's like they were feeding off of each other's success.
Yeah, and there's this quote from Ronaldo that perfectly sums up his mindset during this period.
Okay.
He says, "I don't chase records, records chase me."
Oh, wow.
So it's like this unwavering self-confidence.
Yeah, it's like he knows he's the best. Yeah, he's not just trying to break records. He's
Right.
driven by this desire to be the best.
And the records are just a byproduct of that.
Yeah, exactly. So after his incredible time in Spain, he decides to take on some new challenges.
Okay.
So in 2018, he moves to Juventus in Italy,
Juventus.
wins 2 Serie A titles there.
Okay.
And then in 2021, he makes this kind of, surprising return to Manchester United.
Oh, wow. So back to where it all began.
Yeah.
Kind of like a full circle moment.
Yeah, for sure. And while his second spell at Manchester United might not have been, as successful in terms of trophies,
Right.
his individual achievements kept piling up.
Yeah. I mean, he's still breaking records.
Yeah, he becomes the all-time leading international goal scorer.
Wow.
Surpasses 128 goals for Portugal.
That's incredible.
And let's not forget about Euro 2016,
Oh, yeah.
where he captains Portugal to their first ever major international trophy.
A historic moment for Portugal.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
And it just shows like his impact on the international stage.
And he's still going strong, right?
Yeah, I mean, even in his late 30s, he's still performing at an elite level.
It's amazing, really.
Currently, at current age, he's playing for Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
And still leading the Portuguese national team as captain.
So, I mean, this is a guy who just refuses to slow down.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of longevity at that level,
It's just incredible.
it's pretty exceptional.
Yeah, so I think that the big question here is beyond the talent,
Yeah.
right? Because obviously he's incredibly talented.
Yeah.
But what is it that really sets him apart?
Yeah.
Because talent alone isn't enough
Right.
to achieve that level of sustained success and longevity.
Yeah, for sure. And Daily Mindset Boost really delves into this. They talk about the secrets to his success.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah. So first and foremost, it's the relentless training.
So it's not just natural ability.
No.
It's about putting in the work.
Yeah, I mean, we hear stories about him, putting in extra hours in the gym,
Right.
having this incredibly strict diet.
So it's about discipline.
Yeah. It's all this stuff that happens behind the scenes.
Right. It's the unseen effort.
Yeah, that really makes the difference.
And I think that's a really important lesson for all of us, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's not just about the talent that you're born with.
Yeah.
It's about what you do with it.
Yeah. And it's about, being willing to put in the hard work and the dedication.
Right.
Even when no one's watching.
Exactly.
And then another key factor is his mental toughness.
Mental toughness.
Yeah. So, the ability to bounce back from setbacks, from criticism, from tough losses.
Right.
I mean, that's crucial for any athlete operating at the highest level.
Especially when you're in the spotlight, like Ronaldo is.
Yeah, I mean, he's constantly under scrutiny.
Yeah, the pressure must be immense.
But he seems to thrive on it.
Yeah, it's like he uses it as fuel.
Yeah, and Daily Mindset Boost talks about this specific instance early in his Real Madrid career,
Okay.
where he faces some pretty harsh criticism after a few, high-profile misses.
I can imagine, yeah.
And instead of letting it get to him, what does he do? He doubles down on his training
Wow.
and comes back even stronger.
So he turns that negative into a positive.
Yeah, exactly. He uses it as motivation to prove his doubters wrong.
And I think that's a really powerful example of how to deal with criticism,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Like, it's so easy to let it get you down,
right.
but you can also use it as an opportunity to grow and to improve.
Yeah, for sure. And another thing that the source really emphasizes is his adaptability.
Adaptability.
Yeah, so he wasn't content to just stay the same player.
Right.
He evolved his game over time.
Oh, so.
So, he started out as this winger known for his dribbling skills.
Right.
But as he got older, he transitioned to more of a central goal-scoring threat.
So he recognized that his strengths were changing, and he adapted his game accordingly.
Yeah, and that's so important, for having a long career.
Right. Yeah, you can't just rely on the same skills forever.
Yeah, you got to be willing to change and evolve.
And I think that applies to life in general, right? Like the world is constantly changing.
Yeah.
So we need to be able to adapt to new challenges.
Yeah, for sure. And finally, there's this, seemingly insatiable winning mentality, like this constant drive for more success, even after he's achieved, virtually everything in the game.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he's won it all.
Yeah, but he still wants more.
It's like he's never satisfied.
Yeah, and that hunger, that refusal to become complacent, it seems like a fundamental part of his competitive nature.
Like it's built into his DNA.
Yeah, and the source actually quotes him as saying, "Your love makes me strong, your hate makes me unstoppable."
Wow, that's a powerful quote.
Yeah, it really captures that fierce competitive spirit.
It's like he thrives on the challenge.
Yeah, and it's that drive that's, propelled him to this level.
Yeah.
It's inspiring, really.
Yeah. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Cristiano Ronaldo's journey,
Yeah.
I think it's clear that there are some really valuable lessons here.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, his story offers insights that go far beyond the realm of football.
Yeah, so daily mindset boost. They highlight these key takeaways.
Okay.
And first of all,
Yeah.
it's the importance of dreaming big.
Dreaming big. Okay.
Yeah, like regardless of your background or circumstances.
Right.
Ronaldo came from humble beginnings,
Yeah.
but that didn't limit his aspirations.
No, it didn't limit him at all.
Yeah, and I think that's a really powerful message,
Yeah.
don't let your circumstances define you.
Right. Believe in yourself.
Yeah, like that.
And set your sights high.
Yeah. And the second takeaway is the undeniable truth that hard work is non-negotiable.
Hard work. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when combined with talent.
Right.
His story isn't just about natural ability.
No.
It's about the relentless effort.
Yeah. The dedication. Yeah. And that dedication, that's what separates the good from the great.
It's the extra mile that makes all the difference.
Yeah. And finally, this idea of constantly pushing your limits and avoiding complacency.
So never settling.
Yeah. Never settling for what you've already achieved.
Right.
Ronaldo's career is like a testament to that.
Yeah, he's always striving for more.
Yeah. Even after winning everything there is to win.
It's incredible, really.
So the original host of Daily Mindset Boost, they wrap up by asking listeners to consider their favorite Ronaldo moment.
Okay.
But for you, our listener, let's leave you with a final thought-provoking question.
Okay.
So Cristiano Ronaldo's dedication and his adaptability,
Yeah.
they've been central to his success in this, super competitive global environment.
Right.
So how can you apply that same level of dedication and adaptability to
Yeah.
your own goals and challenges,
Yeah.
regardless of your field or your endeavors?
That's a great question to ponder.
Yeah, I mean, it's something to think about.
Yeah. Because I think we can all learn something from Ronaldo's journey.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
It's a reminder that, greatness is within reach.
Yeah.
If you're willing to put in the work
Yeah.
and never give up on your dreams.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
All right.
Okay.
Well, that was a great dive, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for joining me.
Of course.
All right, we'll catch you next time.
See you later.
Bye.